2023? You be aspiring.
As a proud Liberian, I've always wanted the best for my country.
Okay.
And growing up, attending school in Ganta, Tapeta, Mela, Sanikole, and then coming to Monrovia, I always wanted Liberia to be Baptist mission. And I believe that we can make Liberia look so beautiful. Okay. We can make our own America in Liberia, but it comes through governance. And my view that a government that leads the process was confirmed by the Prime Minister by the Prime Minister of UAE recently, when someone told him on TV, asked him a question: how come UAE, that used to be a desert place, Dubai was just a desert place, how come Dubai is now one of the attractions for tourists around the world? Everybody wants to come here. You have tall buildings over. And he said one word: leadership. And by leadership, he meant good leadership.
Okay.
So it is that type of leadership that I want to bring to Liberia, so that you young people and people after you will say Liberia turned around because of good leadership brought by Councillor Tiawan Kongu.
We have
so that is it.
Okay.
This country is not a normal country. I want to normalize it. That's why I say I'm not looking for presidency. I want to be a project manager for normalizing Liberia and putting Liberia on a progressive path for the future.
When you talk about the country is not normal, what are those things you can point out that right when now, elected comes 2023, you're going to face?
If you take the first 20 countries that are considered the worst when it comes to poor medical facilities, Liberia is among them.
Okay.
And then, therefore, when you take the countries that have the highest infant mortality rate, children dying before reaching the age of 5, Liberia is among them. When you take the countries that have the highest maternal mortality rate, when women go to deliver, they die, Liberia is among them. When you take the country that has more children out of school than in school in the world, Liberia is among them. I'm not just talking about Africa, I'm not talking about West Africa, in the world. Okay. Liberia is among them. When you say what are the most hungry countries in the world, or countries with the highest number of people hungry, Liberia is among them. So that's why I say Liberia is in the ICU, intensive care unit, in an emergency room. And if Liberia is not, if we don't stop that trend by coming in and let what is happening now with the CDC government continue, then we are making a decision for national suicide. Okay. If we vote CDC back into power. And me, I enjoy being a lawyer. I've been a lawyer for 34 years and I enjoy it. I enjoy going to court and arguing, keeping the intellectual exercise going. I enjoy teaching at the Louis Arthur Graham School of Law. I enjoy doing workshops for people around the country. I even teach at the police academy once in a while free of charge. The current Inspector General was one of my students when I'm teaching the legal framework for policing. As my contribution to improving things. But nothing can replace leading a whole country, because that makes you captain of the ship and you can take the ship of state in the proper direction.
If you are elected today, what could be those major things you would target?
First, there has to be rule of law. Without rule of law, nothing can happen. Even in a village, there are rules that the chief makes that everybody goes by. That is what creates orderly behavior in a village. We want everybody in this country to be under the rule of law, nobody to be above the rule of law.
Okay.
Nobody in this country should say, you know who I am, or I'm connected to this, telling police, don't do this, you don't want your job. I've heard people saying that, you play with me, I will change, I will take out your uniform. Ordinary people saying that because of the connection government. We cannot have that in the country, in this country. In America and other places, Rwanda, Botswana, and even right next to Ghana, the police does its work, the immigration does its work without interference. So I've said, when I become president, any official of government interferes with police operation, undermines police operation, obstructs it, and I will dismiss you immediately, because rule of law should not be compromised Without rule of law, the peace of our country cannot be sustained and there will be chaos. It is rule of law that provides the framework for social economic progress. So that's one. Two, the independence of the rule of law in terms of law enforcement industry. There's a part B to rule of law, the independence of the judiciary.
Okay.
I will make sure I will pass an executive order and later on put a law before the legislature that any minister or high official of government that interferes with the independence of the judiciary, from the magistrate to the Supreme Court, will be dismissed immediately, because we cannot compromise rule of law.
Okay.
So that everyone is under the law. It is that type of legal framework and adherence to the rule of law that we invite investors to come, because they know that their contracts can be protected. They know that they can walk in the streets of Liberia and be safe. You know, right now, because of lack of rule of law in this country, we have imposed curfew on ourselves. By 8:30 in the night, go to Broad Street, people are going home. The night economy in Monrovia is gone down. No nightclub, nobody goes to movie at night because of the level of crime rate in the street. And go tonight, 10 o'clock, you get in the street, you will see no police patrol anywhere in central Monrovia. The police people will be at the police station, and you are lucky if you go to the police station and see light. Then you go to police central, sometimes it's dark. How do you expect the police to operate? The government not supporting the police, not providing them logistics, not taking care of them. And they are among the lowest paid. So, you know, I will emphasize rule of law.
Okay.
And then I will combat corruption. Next thing, because corruption exists everywhere, it even exists in the law enforcement and the rule of law apparatus in the Supreme, in the judiciary and all of that. We'll fight corruption.
What are the new mechanisms you come with?
What I'm going to do is this. You cannot change unless you start with yourself.
Okay.
I will make sure that the president's salary, the president asset declaration are all on the executive mansion website.
Okay.
I will make sure that the minister and all commission officials of the government, including all employees of government down to the janitor, salaries are known and on the internet. The next thing is that I will institute what I call quarterly lifestyle audit. Every 3 months, an auditor from GSC will come to me as president and say, Mr. President, we know that your total worth is not more than $50,000. How come you got a $200,000 solar operated Mercedes before as your private car? Explain to the Liberian people. If I can't explain, I have said, and I want to promise you already, I will resign. But I will not do such disgraceful thing. Therefore, any minister in my government, any official of government that cannot explain, that has questionable expenditure that cannot explain, for example, billing 3, 4, 5-story building that costs $200,000 or $300,000 when his salary and his total worth can reach $50,000, I would dismiss you immediately, no question, and turn you over to LACC for full investigation and prosecution. When we have 3 or 4 ministers going to jail and the assets taken, it would serve as a deterrence.
Do you have trust in the LACC?
Yes. Look, if the president of the country wants the LACC to operate fearlessly, it will operate.
Okay.
They are appointed by the president. And the LACC under my administration will be a vibrant organization because we need it for making sure that there is integrity in the governance of this country. So I will do that. And I believe that when some ministers are going to jail for 10 years and the assets taken, the other rogues in government will be afraid to steal. And those who are also not in government and their rogues will be afraid to enter the government. They will bring insanity to government. And government will be for all Liberians.
You think the current president is intruding the function of the LACC?
Very much so. Look, we change laws all the time. We don't change those who occupy the institution. How many times we have not changed judicial law, but we don't change the chief justice and justices and judges? For you to amend the LACC Act, you remove the chairman and the current commissioners. I don't know the basis of that. That was meant to weaken the LACC and to make the new commissioner that will come afraid under President Weah. Why? Because his good friends in government now will be investigated by the current LACC And the LACC chairman was robust, keeping the public informed about the conduct of those people that they were investigating. And you know, you cannot combat corruption in secrecy. It is the openness that serves as deterrent. If people know that when they behave in a questionable way in government, their name will be on the radio and in the newspaper, they will be careful and conduct themselves better. And that is what Chairman Martin was doing. It was laudable. It was making our government look good. And I'm surprised that instead of supporting Martin, he would rather send a bill to remove him. And you know what they put in that bill? The main thing, everybody says, oh, they have prosecutorial power, they have subpoena power. Let me tell you, as a lawyer, someone will write agreement. We can put one small fine line. If the other lawyer doesn't see it and they sign it, in the future you can refer to it. There is a line. Go and read section 10.9. Section 10.9 of the amended LACC law says everything, the investigation should remain secret until somebody is indicted.
Okay.
And if anybody at the LACC, a commissioner, any employee there, exposes the content of the investigation that's going on, that person should be dismissed immediately. So it will serve as, it will have a chilling effect on the, in fact, the investigation will be in secret. But the danger of it that President Weah does not know is that if you promote secret, there will be a lot of speculation on the Facebook and other places. Because now, when a minister is reporting to LACC every day, and the reason the minister is going to the LACC is not exposed, you will believe people to speculate. And it will be speculating, it will be dangerous for the government. Make everything open. Even right now, the American government is investigating the former president of the United States, Donald Trump. And not in secret, though. The whole world is following that investigation. Why is Liberia that pattern its governance process after the United States will be promoting secrecy? Just like we don't know the president's salary. Right now, you go on the internet on your phone now and tap what's the salary of Joe Biden. It will tell you $400,000. It will tell you $400,000.
Okay.
What's the salary of Chief Justice of the United States? It will tell you. Speaker, Representative, the President pro tem, all of that will tell you. We don't know the salaries of our President, Vice President, Speaker, Chief Justice, Justices, Judges. We don't know. Yet we, the Liberian people in our collectivity, are their employers. And how come the employers don't know how much they are paying their employees? I will change that around. So that all Liberians, you know, when the Liberians know how much their officials are making and they know how much is in the government, it will help them to trust, to have confidence in the government. Because you see, some people outside working in the private sector will be making more than ministers. And I would say, you know.
But if you know the salary of a lawmaker, then you should know the salary of the speaker, because the speaker makes the same amount like the lawmaker.
That's not true.
Only low incentives.
I've heard some journalists say that either the pro tem or the speaker, the salary regarding 19,000 or 21,000 or something, because it is not stated there. They say in a budget, they say the elected official. There is nowhere in the budget where they say the speaker's salary or the president pro tem salary.
Chief.
Even though the executive law says that the salaries of the people should be known to Liberian people, but right now it is kept secret. So we want to do that. Then let me conclude by the next segment of what I want to do for Liberia.
Okay.
The economy. We have to strengthen and broaden the economy so that young people can get jobs.
Okay.
You know, but the more jobs that are provided in the country, the better the country is in terms of fighting crime. Because most of the young people get into crime and not justifying crime because there's no avenue for work. They all come to Monrovia to look for greener pasture because Monrovia is the only place the economy is functioning.
Okay.
Then when they don't find jobs, some of them drift away and get into crime. They go to the ghetto, their friends, the American take one load to forget your problem. Gradually, they become addicted, and then they think they were afraid to do without being addicted by drugs, they start doing it. They think they were ashamed to do, they start doing it. They jacking beds, they engage in armed robbery, they raping women, they're doing different things. Whereas, I want to bring the foundation of economic policy is to deconcentrate the economy in Monrovia. and take it out of Monrovia. So I'll have a policy. When you want to put your factory outside Monrovia, you got 5 years tax, no tax obligation.
Free, okay.
You put it out there. Every 50 miles away from Monrovia. And the incentive will increase further. So if you are 100 miles away from Monrovia, you have a greater incentive. 150 miles, greater incentive. 400 miles from Monrovia, greater incentives. So when we do that, and we give incentive to companies, of course, the government is, for some factories and some investment area, we might even have government get land and give it to you, free for you to invest. And then when we do that, the benefit will be that if you are in Kepamos, for example, or you in Tapeta, your company is in Bapolo or Lofa, you will employ the locals in the area. Young people will be employed. When they have job, when they take their pay, government gets revenue tax, payroll taxation, income tax. And then they pay rent to the poor guy homes in the area they are working. Then the income that the house owners get, they pay taxes on it. They will buy other goods and services in the area. And those who receive income will also pay taxes to government. Then government tax base is broadening. And the same way as the economy is expanding away from Monrovia. The social benefit of that is that it will keep the young people in their community. They are happy to live in their community. They got jobs. They are there. Education will improve because the money generated from the income taxes and all of that will use to strengthen the school system. So people live there and send their children to school. We will have colleges, the University of Liberia will have branches all over. And the health system will be improved. So people live in their own community. Not like today, you don't have medicine at JFK. So I'm not talking about JJ Johnson Hospital in Kepamos or anywhere. Monrovia, where the president lives, cannot supply, the government cannot supply medicine in JFK. What do you expect about? So when I heard the president talking about building another JFK, well, make the JFK that exists now functional.
Okay.
Because when JFK was built, it was the #1 hospital in West Africa. Everybody used to come here.
Chief,
so we want to do that.
Looking at the workings of the 3 branches of government, what do you think particularly the problem of Liberia lies? The
problem of Liberia lies in the executive. You know what? The presidency. If the president understands the separation of powers and respects the functions of the other 2 branches of government, then the government will function properly. Because the president controls coercive power, force. The president controls the police, immigration, all these armed groups. The president controls the army. So the president can actually create fear in the other 2 branches of government. The other 2 branches of government are toothless bulldogs. Then the president also controls the treasury, the purse. So the president decides not to support,
he must
give money to the judiciary. It will not function properly. The president decides not to give money to the legislature because the president controls the treasury. They could be asking more money, and the president says, we have not generated enough revenue, so we'll pay you, we'll do this, right? So, but he doesn't need a president who acts in good faith. We'll make sure that the other 2 branches of government get their entitlement just as the executive. So it takes a president who understands that. That's what happens in America. But if in history, the legislature has been powerful before. In 1930, the president of Liberia, Charles D.B. King, and his vice president were found guilty, were accused by the League of Nations, the organization that existed before the United Nations, of selling Liberian labor to Fanada Po, that is now Equatorial Guinea. And so the League of Nations wanted to place sanction on Liberia. And the Senate, there were only 10 persons in the Senate. 2 senators from Maryland, 2 from Montserrat, 2 from Grand Bazaar, 2 from Maryland, 2 from Sino, 2 from Cape Mount. These 10 senators cited the president and said, we will not allow our sovereignty to be taken away by 1 minute. When they impose sanctions in your country, you are not totally sovereign anymore. Like the way 5 or 6 of our government officials are sanctioned, including the passport director, we are not totally sovereign anymore, because as a government, we cannot use these people the way we want to. They cannot go anywhere, just anywhere they want to go in the world. They cannot go to America, and they cannot benefit from American dollar and all that. So our government is restricted. So because of that, we cannot consider ourselves totally sovereign because of the sanction imposed on some of our government officials. So they said at that time, they say, Mr. President Charles D. King, if you and your vice president don't resign today, that what the Senate said, we will impeach you tomorrow. There were men in this country. That time there were no BBC, no internet, no VOA, but they were patriotic and nationalistic. And the president walked back, he and his vice president resigned that day.
We have this morning Councillor Tiawan Gonglo, presidential aspirant 2023. He's our guest this morning, and we're talking wide range of national issues, beginning with his dream for Liberia. This morning, just to have you informed, this program is live on Butor FM 102.3 in Shino County, and it's also live on Mawa FM in Tapeta, Nima County on 92.3 megahertz. You can also follow us on our online radio, KM Radio International, and also on our YouTube page, KMTV YouTube page, and you'll be live on the program this morning. You can also call us if you want to make your point on 0775271672, 0775271672. For those of you who are following us, probably you have a question or a point to make on the show, you can also do that by calling that number posted on your screen. Now, welcome back to the show. Now,
before you ask your next question,
okay,
there's something in my mind that is very important to the 2023 election that I want to reveal to the public.
Though we get that, but just to have it said.
Let me just say this. The legislature, the Senate is not deliberating on an amendment of the elections law. And they want to do the same thing they did with the LACC. They removed the commission. This time, they want to remove the technicians that conduct the election, the magistrates. That would be a blow to the 2023 election, because these magistrates have been there, some of them have been there since 2005, well trained, and they are indefinite employees. Okay. They are not employees that have tenure like 7 years or so, like the commissioners, right? 5 years or 7 years and all of that. They are indefinite employees. They are like civil servants, and they have been trained by the Election Commission over the years. Some of them have gone abroad, you know, to Zimbabwe, to Ghana, to other places. Some of them have been taken abroad to observe elections and learn other strategies, and they have actually since 2005 improved in the conduct of the electoral process, the magistrates, and it takes time to train them. Now you want to sack them now and say the law will sack them and they can reapply. Obviously, you know they will not claim. I'm making an allegation that the president wants to bring seditions to be the magistrates. That will be rigging the election even before election day. I'm calling upon all opposition political parties in this country, and even well-meaning citizens, to oppose that. It's not good for us.
You visited the U.S. of recent. What was your mission?
My mission was, I'm a new kid on the block politically. I've been an advocate in this country. Everybody knows my name as a poor man lawyer. That's what they know me for. They know me as a human rights advocate, right? That's what they know me for. Yes, I've served in government, in executive, as Solicitor General, as executive assistant to president, as minister. They don't know me politically as a politician. Now I'm transitioning from being an advocate to a politician.
You would tell.
I needed to go to America to tell the Liberians living there, and also to meet the American government officials and to expose myself. And my trip, you know, as a government official usually say when they come from trip, my trip was fruitful and rewarding, because I expected to go to just 3 states. I expected to go to Pennsylvania, where you got a lot of Liberians. I wanted to go to Minnesota, and then to go to Boston and Rhode Island in that New England area. And the fourth one may be New York, Staten Island. But the Liberians were so generous. And if I were to judge my going to America as a sign of victory in the election, I say I've been winning. Because why? I didn't pay 1 cent to go to America. Liberians there bought my ticket to go.
Wow.
Liberians there bought my ticket to come, round trip ticket to go and come back. They bought my ticket to go to 12 states in the United States. They put me in very good hotels in the 12 states. In some places, I chose to be at home. I'm saying I'm tired of living in hotel. Let me stay in some Liberian homes.
Okay.
And I enjoy the hospitality of Liberians even where I stay. So, and I was speaking frankly, you know, I've been living in this country 63 years of my life. I'm 66 now, you know, and I've lived here. I know the issues. I don't have to read them. Of course, there is no candidate in this race, including the president in power, that can compare his commitment to Liberia with me, you know, because I, at the age of 22, was an advocate at the University of Liberia and risked my life. I went to jail for the good of Liberia, for good governance. I advocated for freedom of expression. That's why I represent you journalists, because I was jailed for expressing myself to government freely. And then, so I said, one of my motivations of going to law school, I said I would defend freedom of expression. I wrote I drafted the Kamara law when I was Solicitor General. Instead of putting people in jail who were criticizing government, I drafted a law in 2009, carried to President Salim and said, we have to change the law so that government, after you don't.
Do you think you can make a better president than President we are?
Why are you carrying me so low? Why are you comparing me to President we are? President we are has zero knowledge in governance. Never worked as a cadet in executive anywhere. He doesn't know anything. He has zero knowledge about government. That's why Liberians have learned now that you cannot go against your tradition. In this country, all the ethnic groups got one word. When you say I can do this, they say, oh, and you say you can plant new mat, show the old mat first. They forgot their own philosophy that the way to give people opportunity is to see their track record. You want to be a primary chief, but you are not being quarter chief. Then you got clan chiefs running in the election. You think anybody in the interior will let somebody who are not even being quarter chief to be primary chief? No. You got to have experience.
What prompted your statement when you called the government of President Weah as a challenge government?
Oh yeah, that's exactly. Thank you. You know, let me say what child abuse is, for example. No matter how much your child is so faithful and obedient, can serve you, there are certain jobs you give to your child. You say, oh, take the dishes from the table or wash the dishes. If you tell your son who is prepared to do anything for you, oh, let's go to the store, and you buy 100-pound bag of rice. I say even I have bag of rice, and you take 100-pound bag of rice and put on your 10-year-old son to carry, you know he will collapse. That's child abuse. So to get the load of a country that had coup d'etat, that had one party experience, one party state, had coup d'etat, 14 years of civil conflict, that is still going through the process of reconstruction and national healing. To someone who has zero, in fact, negative knowledge about governance, that was child abuse in terms of the load of governance. That's why I say President Weah was embarrassed, you know, and abused by the young voters. You people, the voters below 40 years old, they are the ones that made him president, and they gave him a difficult time that he can't carry. The man was a football icon, and I still want him to go back. I'm appealing to him, let him go back to being a football icon, so at least we have our celebrated football icon. Because now, you know, politics judges people, it makes people to hate people. We were never hated by anybody in this country. 100% of this country used to say they were behind. Today, because of politics, a lot of people talk things about him, because the voters in this country gave him a difficult tax that has changed his success story and made it so difficult for him that now in history he's going to go down as a man, the first president who produced 5 government officials placed on sanction. You know, no government has had, no president has had his minister of state placed on sanction. When you put the minister of state on sanction, you actually technically putting the president himself on sanction, because I know chief of staff of his office.
He's expected
never happened before.
He's expected to go to the States in December. What do you think will happen?
If he keeps if he does not take the action against McGill and the two other people who serve in the executive area, because the public corporation MP is part of the executive, I can assure him that the Americans, they can even denaturalize people they are naturalized. What more inviting you? You remember when he's not more powerful than President Taylor. President Bush told President Taylor, you will leave Liberia now, I will not take no for an answer. Taylor was more powerful. President George Weah is the king, you know, he's a small boy. He doesn't even touch the last toe of President Taylor, technically, you know, officially. And Taylor knew the gravity of America in the world. So even without one American soldier being here, Taylor took his bag and left the country. President Obasanjo, president of the most powerful country in Africa militarily, in terms of economic power, was told, you will not be welcome. He was on a trip to America, and he was about to be uninvited. Say, you will not step here unless you turn Taylor over. And it happened. Obasanjo did it. So if people like Taylor and Obasanjo can obey America verbatim, 100%, like George Weah, he would be doing it to himself. They were uninviting. Yeah, they were uninviting. So if he wants to go to Washington D.C. like me, I'm not president, but I've been to Washington D.C.
You return from
the State Department, and I'm paying no lobby fee. The government of Liberia, from what we read, have been giving millions of dollars for under this government for lobbying, and yet the foreign minister of Liberia has not been to Washington D.C. to State Department. Me, I'm not even a candidate yet. I'm just an aspirant. But based on my reputation, the people go on the internet. Go now and type on Google search, you'll see over 200 entries. I was invited to the State House.
You return from the United States. You return from the United States with anger, and you say you will file a lawsuit against the government on grounds the violence that occurred between the CDC Council of Patriots.
Domestic terrorism that the government engaged in against
the
students and the students of the Student Unification Party.
Where are we now?
Who were exercising. We are working it. You know what I mean? Look, it takes time to file a paper. We've done the draft. I've shared the draft with some lawyers. They are looking at it. We will file it. Definitely, it's a human rights issue.
According to them, they'll be assembling on tomorrow with another protest. What's your own take on it?
That's their right.
Okay.
That's their right. You know, look, when I was Solicitor General, one time a high official of government came to me and said, you hear Frank Sewula, my good friend Sewula, like, they didn't even know that I was a lawyer for Radio Veritas before, or a lawyer for plenty of radio stations. He said, you heard Frank Sewula last night? I said, what happened? He was lying about the president. Say, how can I lie about President Seli? I said, so what you want me to do? What do you mean, what you want to do? You're the Solicitor General. I said, I still don't understand. He said, but invite the man here and tell him lies. So nobody didn't listen to him. But if he had listened to him, sir, that he right to speak freely. We campaigned with President Seli for freedom of expression. We did not identify what type of expression. So in my view, as Solicitor General at that time, I said, if 100% say President Seli is the most beautiful woman in Liberia, 1,000 people have a right to say she's the ugliest woman they have seen in the whole world. And those two speeches are entitled to equal protection under the law. So some people feel that George Weah is the best president Liberia has ever produced. Others feel he's the worst that has ever been produced. Those two expressions are entitled to equal protection under our Constitution.
Okay, this morning we have Councillor Tiawan C. Gonglo as our guest presidential aspirant Liberia 2023, and here this morning we're talking wide range of national issues. We will get in depth as it goes on, but we'll take a short break to come back. If you want to join us, you can call us on 077-527-1672, 077-527-1672, plus 231-775-27-1672, and you're going to be live on the show here this morning. A short break will bring us right back. Welcome back to the show and thanks for joining us. This is the KMTV Morning Show. It's also live on Buta FM in Sino 102.3 FM and Mawe FM in Tapeta, Nima County on 92.3, and it's live on our live feed, and also follow us via KM Radio International. You can scan our QR code on the screen and also visit our YouTube page. Welcome back to the show, Chief.
So just because you mentioned Tapeta, that's a place one of the places I went to school for 5 years. Okay. So let me greet my old man David Dan. They used to call him David the Shoe. Okay. My old man Reverend Liberty Chape, and Cynthia, who works at the hospital, as well as Dr. Kaba, the head of the JFD hospital. Let's
get the first caller here this morning. I think this person is calling from probably the US or so. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. Thanks for joining us. What's your name and where you call from?
My name is Philip Morris. I'm calling from Amsterdam.
All right. Let's hear you in a few seconds.
Okay. I just wanted to tell Kongru, he's sitting in front of a young kid like that. But you're supposed to be teaching a better thing, and you're sitting here opening your mouth and lying.
Look, no, 1 minute, Madam Morris, hello. Okay, so yeah, we need to be civil here. We can, when you talk about now, you know the thing about conversation. The thing about conversation is that you are not the only one following. That's your opinion. If you want to express, we give you the time. But if you come with insults on our guest, who's a reputable, individual, we can have that. We can have you on.
Even without being reputable, we can teach our children bad habits.
Sure.
And allow that
we can.
You're teaching
we can do that. Now, are you open to collaboration?
Collaboration must be based on ideas.
Okay.
Ideas of what is wrong with the country, an agreement on what is wrong with the country, and the way forward.
Okay.
I think collaboration based on personalities are not working in this country. We tried it with the Alliance Convention in 1997. Politicians just came together and said, let's choose one person to head the alliance of 7 political parties. It didn't work. This time, CPP, 4 political parties came together again to choose a candidate to run. I say ideas. So, for example, let me explain on the radio. For example, if we all agree that Liberia is underdeveloped and it has a serious problem with our institutions and everything. Okay. What if CPP are come together and say, we agree that Liberia is underdeveloped. What made Liberia underdeveloped? Let's say, for example, they say, you know what happened? We are not using our comparative advantage that God gave us naturally to develop. Agriculture, our forestry. We have 43% of the remaining tropical species in West Africa, tropical forest in West Africa. So let us put our foundation, our path to development on developing our agriculture and forestry, right? And then they agree that, so we grow food, we grow tree crops, and then we extend into agro industries, and our businesses should be around, promoting agricultural development, self-sufficiency in food and exporting food. They agree to sign. This is the pathway forward. Okay, now we agree on the way forward. Who do we choose to carry? It's not hard to guess that they will have said, among us, the 4 of us, the one person who knows about agriculture and the soil is Joe Boakai, because he went to school and learned agriculture, and he has been
the agriculture
managing director and being minister of agriculture. So that's the man, and there will not be any doubt about it. But flip it another way. Let's say we have said, you know what happened? There are countries that don't have soil, like Singapore and all that. They build industries. We need to have an enterprising country where people learn entrepreneurial skills and they have businesses, and we can actually do manufacturing and everything, and we don't even have to produce here. South Korea has a steel plant. They don't have iron ore mine. So let us have an enterprising country as a way of developing our country, and have giant corporations here. and they say that the way forward will create jobs, all of that, who they are going to choose? I can say without doubt that among the 4 candidates, they are going to choose Cummings and say, you know what, I think the man, you know, has worked with a big giant corporation. He has connection in the world. He's able to bring giant corporations here. So it is ideas. The political parties, if they are gone away, I will not even run self.
There are clues.
Because I'm thinking about Liberia. And I say today, for example, if Joshua declare the sources of his money to pay the 47-story buildings and other buildings that he had built, and that is confirmed by international auditing firm, and he posts his salary and benefits on the internet and subscribe to quarterly lifestyle audit, I swear I will resign and say, but I will say, well, I'm not running because I just want Liberia to develop, and the man has changed towards developing Liberia. Lifestyle audit, the independence of the judiciary, the independence of the law enforcement, and issue the executive orders I'm talking about. I will even drop the executive orders for him, and we'll make sure that after the international auditing firm confirms his sources of money that is not our money, then I don't need to run because I'm doing it for transformation of Liberia.
There are clues. There are clues that you will be on the ballot with Ambassador Boakai as vice running mate. Has true is that?
That is not true. I don't know of that. I'm just hearing it. Well, I've heard it from some people, but people are entitled to their views.
But you open to that?
I know that in Bom County and in Nimba, these are 2 large voting areas. When the people, I spoke to them. When the young people of Liberia petitioned me, I went to my mother's people, Bom County, and I had a meeting in Banga. We all say, should I accept the petition or not? My uncles and aunties told me, accept it. Then I went, before I went to Nimba, because in Bom County, they love their nephews and aunts. They told me in Bom County, accept it. You know why we voted for George Weah? Because he carried our niece. Joy, our father is from Lofa, but she's our niece. We voted for George Weah. Because of what we don't know George Weah. So you, our nephew, a man, you want to be president, we will support you.
But you open to
I became strong, and I went to Nimba. And then my fathers, my brother and sister, they said, accept it too. These are 2 candidates, each of them has vote, huge vote. If Bonkan and Lofa alone vote self, you come second or first, depending on how the votes go. So this question of open collaboration, I've already stated that collaboration must be based on ideas.
Once you are called,
not on personality.
What will be your stand when you are called by Ambassador Boakai to go as vice to him?
I'm not an independent candidate. Just as he has been elected as standard bearer of the Unity Party, I am striving to be elected as standard bearer of the Liberian People's Party.
Okay.
I believe in institution. If my party decides that the 2 parties will collaborate, then they will determine the nature of collaboration. Maybe he goes as a vice president and I go as standard bearer, or the other way around, but it will be open discussion that the 2 will have. Because you see, I am talking about transforming Liberia. It's not the age thing, because of the age thing, you saw that Joe Biden, who can born Obama, was vice president to Obama, who was the ideal leader for, you know, the transformation in America, when he said we can. America is a land of opportunities and possibilities. He was the vision bearer. And Joe Biden, who participated and lost in the primary with him, was his vice president. It's not a question of age, it's a question of who is the vision bearer for transformation. And those discussions can happen between political parties. But I asked people all the time, you know, I've been an advocate, but there's nobody in this record, in this country, that has a record of sacrifice. There's nobody amongst the candidates, including George Weah and everybody, that has a record of sacrifice equal to me in this country. And you know, and I've been clear on what I think about Liberia. When you are clear and speak truth to power, you take a risk with your life. You take a risk with opportunities. I know that when I speak truth to power as a lawyer, the big corporations will not come to me. You know, I know that. So I sacrifice that. I know that when I speak truth to power, that I could be visited by security. I don't care. There are many. I can name 5 instances that I could have died, but I believe in God. God has protected me, and as long as I work for the Liberian people, I strongly believe I'll be protected by God, just as He protected me. He protected Daniel in the lion's den.
Now, there are too many things happening in the country. Firstly, what if we go to the election? Firstly, your convention from your party, you are elected to serve on the ticket, or selected to serve on the ticket of your party, and you go to the election, you are not successful. What will be your next step?
If I go to the election, I'm not successful, and there are people going second round, even though from my calculation now, I know I'll win Joshua 65%, because from my calculation, where can I win 10% in West Point or Nukuta and other places? Because you see, he was elected based on expectation. Now, his election will be based on track record of how the people are fared under his regime in terms of their security and all. This is the only time that we have had auditors disappearing under unexplained circumstances, several mysterious deaths. All of these things scare people. And I don't think that it will vote for him to carry on this same trend again. And then, you know, people are hungry, no agricultural program. I intend to mechanize agriculture and make Liberia food sufficient in less than 2 years by making the agriculture battalion, the AFF, produce rice, by making the cooperative produce rice, revitalizing the agricultural cooperative development bank, and through that, giving loans to the cooperative society all over the country by giving them farming machines, interest-free, through interest-free loan that will be there for 50, that will be paid back in 15 years. The emphasis will be on producing rice. So these are the kind of things that are on my mind, and I believe. But if Liberian people don't listen to me, and they take, when 2 persons go, I will see, I will have a choice.
So what would be your own choice when, take for example, Joe Baka and Weah is going for the second final round?
Of course, Weah will can never be a choice. There's not anything to compare. Weah, anybody, Weah and even Cummings, none of these people you can compare with, you know. So yeah, all of these people are much better in terms of knowledge than he has, and want to bring trust and confidence to government. But I know that I'll win.
Driving on to our conclusion, you are a legal person. Looking at the sanction on the 3 government officials, what you think, and firstly, as you give your stand, what you think are some of the legal implications on this government?
Oh, if you read the Magnitsky Act, it says that people should not interact with these people who have been sanctioned. Some of the things they talk about money laundering. Money laundering is connected to terrorist financing. You know, and all of that, that's a big issue to America. They talk about undermining the independence of the judiciary. They talk about human rights violations. These are key foreign policy pillars for the United States. And if Liberia wants to maintain a good relationship with America, the president of Liberia should have dismissed those people hours after the announcement. Not only that, I will have had the LACC get search warrant to go search their homes and probably get some money, you know, because they will have probably taken millions of dollars from their home. And then the question will be, how come you're keeping this amount of money in your home? And start prosecuting them. You will look very good to the United States, because you cannot risk having poor relationship with the United States for a country that is in ICU, that wants survival and depends so much on America. You know, America has the biggest share in the World Bank, and World Bank is the one that is building a road. You also have share in the African Development Bank and all of that. It's a very influential country. Your road building can stop anytime. The one you call yourself road master or whatever.
Biomedicine?
Biomedicine. Even though President Sylvia had all her challenges, but you know, first time she paved the road from here to Buchanan, paved the road here to Guinea border, and all the roads that we have built has not been equal to one of the roads in terms of mileage.
Okay.
Then they tell him something that makes him to say something untrue to the public when he says that he has built more roads in this country than all of the presidents combined from J.J. Roberts to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. That is not true. I want to say that on the air. That is not true because President Tubman alone built the road from Totota all the way to Kipamos, and nearly over 300 miles of road, you know, and then President Tubman paved the road to Ganta. I'm not even, then Ellen paved 2 stretches of road. Doe built the road to the Bamagida Highway to the Selino border. He paved it. And so that kind of claim is not good. The claim that is true is that President Weah is the only president in the history of Liberia that has built more private homes than all of the presidents combined from J.J. Roberts to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf.
Okay, you already said to us that if you were president, the first thing would be dismissal, and then you have search warrant to visit the homes of those individuals. Now, you are a legal man. The president called the 54th legislature back to a special section, and I think that session is meant to have to fill the benches. I mean, to fill the bench at the Supreme Court. And there are names coming up, the names of Councillor Gbese, the names of former wife to Snow coming up. If you were to make suggestion, you think Yamin Gbese is best suited to fill the gap?
You know, if I evaluate any of those people in a positive way right now, all I can say they are all good lawyers. Because I strongly believe if I make specific comment on any of them, it might jeopardize their appointment.
Okay.
And that would not be fair to them.
All right.
You know, I want to be fair because the government in power is vindictive and can react in a certain way. And they will speculate that, oh, this person is an opposition person, he's a sympathizer of Councillor Gonglu, so let's not get that person appointed. I wouldn't do that. It's not fair to any of them. I want to have the fair chance. Appointment is a political decision. It happens everywhere. Even in America, the Republican presidents appointed certain justices on the Supreme Court. And fortunately now they have 6 justices that look the Republican way. They are conservative. So now Roe versus Wade, that has been there for more than 50 years, giving women the right of choice to abort or not to abort, has been overturned. So while judicial decisions are based on judicial philosophy, the appointment of justices is a political decision.
Okay.
And any president would appoint anyone that he or she feels would carry his or her ideas.
Finally, thanks so much for passing this morning. Finally, as we move to 2023 election, what's your expectation?
I will win.
In terms of security, in terms of the election, free, fair, and transparent, the NEC own part of it.
Let me praise the police, for example. Yesterday, I was part of an assembly before the American embassy to applaud the United States government for imposing sanctions on certain officials of the government as a deterrence. I know it was a tough decision for America, but they are doing it America is doing it in our interest, so that it can serve as a deterrence for the conduct of other people who are still in government. But we are urging the American government, when the people in government do not change their behavior, that they should do more. I strongly believe that maybe the American government was going to wait until the president goes to America and then they discuss with him on all of these things and doing a software. But when Minister McGill went to Banga and started talking with that degree of impunity that even we still will build the houses here and all of that, I believe, it may not be true, but I believe that that statement had a catalytic effect on imposing the sanction. And so friends should be angry with him because the thing he said influenced, I strongly believe. I'm not saying that what made America, but I say I believe, and that's my view, that I have a right to think and express myself freely, that I believe that statement is the one that just, made the American government to argue immediately and say, oh, if we don't do this, the worst thing might be said.
Okay.
Yeah. And America invested so much money here for our peace. They supported 17,000 strong UNMIL, United Nations peace mission here. So nobody should say America interfered and then get time, than other business, because America has helped us a lot, and they are interested. They have a stake in the peace that we enjoy, and they are interested in sustaining the peace, and they are interested in the progress of Liberia. So I thank them for it, and I believe that all Liberians should support these kinds of actions, so that we can all help to start impugnating the governance of Liberia. Last year, when our President Obama, on Lord Day, I called upon the international community to impose sanctions on Liberian government officials in the 3 branches of government who are deemed to be corrupt, because our government has shown no political will to combat corruption. Rather, the government under this administration is even weakening the integrity institution, as they did to LACC and beginning to do to NEC. And one of the things they want to do is to increase the registration fee for presidential candidates, representative candidates, and senators. That's actually excluding people, closing the democratic space on those who are now rogues, and many of them to steal public money. I talked to one of them who was a thief where he worked before. And I said, because you have money now, you got your money in a crooked way. So you are now saying, all kind of little boys, little girls want to be representatives and senators. It's a place for mature people and people who have made themselves. Many of them never made themselves. When they move from there, after 2 years, you see some lawmakers walk in the street and having difficulties. So leadership is for people who care for the country, who have integrity, not necessarily people who have deep pockets.
Thank you so much for passing this morning.
I will always come. You want me to come tomorrow, I will come anytime. Because we have to educate the public about the future of this country.
Thank you so much this morning. Councillor Tiawan Gonglo has been our guest, and we've been talking wide range of national issues, ranging from his dream of, for the country. We dive into governance, we talk about the sanction and the rest of it. On tomorrow, we'll be out. We'll take the show out to Dr. Toban Natipote. We'll be at his home to have the conversation at his home on tomorrow. And so we'll not be in studio. I want to say thanks to all of our followers and thanks to you for...
I sent an agreement to you. I was with him this morning. He said, when you come on KMTV, tell me how it is.
Okay. All right. So Butoa Radio in Sino, and of course Mawa Radio in Nima County. I love to say thanks you guys for relaying our program. We're hoping that this be a continuous relationship. On tomorrow, like I said, we'll be out. My name is Amos Thomas Momo. Thanks to our guy White behind camera, doing all of the technical work. Until tomorrow, I'm bidding you a pleasant rest of the Tuesday from Liberia. Bye-bye.
Lugo is contesting against poverty. He's contesting against underdevelopment.
So we have been involved in the community. The issue of, doing something, showing a footprint. We have actually been involved in the community doing things.
The whole issue about elections, the candidate tell the people, who are you? Why you want a job?
Most of the major challenge in my GB, especially the young folks.
We want that tax to come with compensation.
Okay.
We empowered those young people with employment opportunities.
Okay.
For me, it was imperative because these were young people that were disenfranchised and marginalized in our society.
Even in the opposition, his political leader Bernard Ayer, zero disagreement with Costa because of that.
Settle with Honorable Cabinet Janet. We owe him, and it is already been said that indeed we should pay.
Would you, a Mexican, to be Liberian Honorary Consul in Mexico? The answer is no.
They are not telling the national person the fact and the truth of leadership.
Okay.
They are very, very unfair.
A lot of young people benefited from a scholarship, including President Chairman Molu. I look forward to a day when President Buya will suspend Mobake Molu for not controlling the partisans for attacking candidates.
We need to teach civics in all schools across the country. We need for citizens to know their basic duties and responsibilities.
The Constitution is for the people. And before the people make now a constitutional amendment, they must be educated on what they are making.
When they receive this information, they don't even verify. They don't look at the questions on the actual test. There are times I will give a children maybe 40 questions, they give us 50 answers. What do they take the additional 10 questions from?
We have gone through a process. If you realize that you are not satisfied, launch a proper investigation. let this investigation go on, and then we realize who did wrong or who are the perpetrators, and then they be brought to book into the public, right?
Show them that we'll work together in making sure we can get to the bottom of this investigation in establishing the perpetrator of the act.
When we have leadership, key actors, key players in the opposition community, we have protection under the law. But even right now, the Liberian National Police is a partisan police.
Nuku is contesting against poverty. He's contesting against underdevelopment.
So we have been involved in the community, the issue of, doing something, showing a footprint. We have actually been involved in the community doing things.
The whole issue about elections, the candidate tell the people, who are you, why you want a job.
Most of the major challenge in my GB, especially the young folks.
We want that tax to come with compensation.
Okay.